The red tally light blinks on, and you smile into the lens like your life depends on it. The teleprompter scrolls a breaking story. A local anchor reported missing 3 days ago. Your photo fills the monitor beside you, same suit, same tie, same hollow stare. Your mouth keeps reading words your brain stopped understanding 10 seconds ago. The producer's voice crackles in your ear, keep going, we're live. You look down at your hands, and for the first time you can see right through them. Schweinfurt, you hear the name and your stomach drops, because everyone on this base knows what happened to the last group that flew there. You collect your flight gear from the equipment room, leather helmet, oxygen mask, silk gloves under leather gloves under heated gloves, and a flak vest that weighs more than your little sister back home. The parachute feels absurdly small when the rigger hands it to you, and you try not to think about whether you'd actually have time to use it. The truck bounces across the perimeter track toward the hardstand, and through the canvas flap you see her, your B-17, wet with morning dew, 4 propellers still and waiting. She's enormous up close, 75 feet of aluminum and rivets, and the ground crew has been working on her since 3 in the morning patching flak holes from the last mission. Your position is the tail, the very last man in the very last part of the aircraft, sealed into a compartment so small you can touch both walls with your elbows. You crawl through the fuselage on your hands and knees, past the waist gunners' stations, past ammunition boxes and oxygen bottles, until the tunnel narrows and you reach your tiny kingdom. You settle onto the bicycle seat they call a chair, your knees pressed against cold metal, your face inches from the twin 50 caliber Brownings that are now the only thing between you and the Luftwaffe. One by one, the 4 Wright Cyclone engines cough to life, and the entire aircraft shakes around you like a living thing waking from sleep. Through your tiny window, you watch the English countryside begin to slide away as the pilot opens the throttles, and the runway disappears beneath you. For the next 40 minutes, you circle over England while the formation assembles, dozens of B-17s finding their positions in a choreography of controlled chaos above the clouds. The pilot's voice crackles through the interphone, oxygen masks on, test your guns, and you feel the air growing thin as you climb past 10,000 feet. You squeeze the thumb triggers and the twin 50s roar to life, rattling your teeth, sending a short burst of tracers arcing into the empty sky behind the formation. At 20,000 feet, the temperature inside your compartment drops to 40 below zero, and the metal of the guns burns through your gloves like dry ice. You can feel the heated suit humming against your skin, but it's barely enough. The cold finds every gap, every zipper, every place where the wiring doesn't reach. The English Channel passes below, a grey sheet of wrinkled water, and just like that, you're over occupied Europe with no way to turn back. Your world shrinks to what you can see through 2 small windows and a narrow plexiglass panel, the sky behind the formation, and whatever might be coming out of it. 30 minutes pass in silence except for the drone of the engines, and the silence is worse than the noise because it gives you time to think. Then someone on the interphone says the 2 words that turn your blood to ice, fighters, 6 o'clock. You see them, black specks against the grey sky that grow wings and engines in the span of a heartbeat, Messerschmitt 109, coming straight at you. They close the distance with terrifying speed, 600 miles an hour of combined velocity, and you can see the yellow noses and the winking lights of their guns firing. You open fire and the world becomes noise, the hammering of the Brownings, the rattle of spent casings, the scream of fighters streaking past close enough to read the markings. Bullets punch through the aluminum skin of your compartment like a fist through paper, and freezing air screams in through the holes. A fighter rolls past your window so close you can see the pilot's face, and for one impossible second, you are looking into the eyes of a man who is trying to kill you. The attack breaks off as suddenly as it started, and in the ringing silence you realize your hands are cramped into claws around the gun grips, and you haven't been breathing. You check yourself for blood the way they taught you, patting down your chest, your legs, your arms, because at 40 below you might not feel a wound. But there's no time to recover. Ahead, the sky turns black with flak, and you watch the formation fly straight into a wall of exploding steel. Flak is the thing you cannot fight. There is no enemy to shoot at, no evasion allowed. You simply fly straight and level through the explosions and pray. A burst goes off close enough to lift the tail, and shrapnel tears through the fuselage with a sound like a handful of gravel thrown at a tin roof. Through the smoke, you see a B-17 in the formation behind you take a direct hit. The wing folds upward, and the aircraft rolls into a spiral that no one will survive. You count the parachutes because that's all you can do, 1, 2, and then the smoke swallows it and there are no more. The bombardier's voice comes through the interphone, calm and mechanical. Bomb bay doors open, and you feel the aircraft shudder as the doors spread beneath you. Bombs away, the aircraft lurches upward as 6,000 pounds of ordnance drops free, and you watch the bombs fall in a long, lazy stream toward the city below. You don't see where they land. That's not your job. Your job is to keep watching the sky behind you for the fighters that you know are coming back. They come back, Focke-Wulf 190s this time, faster and meaner, slicing through the formation in pairs with their cannons blazing. You fire until the barrels glow orange, swinging the guns to track a fighter that dives below and away, trailing a thin ribbon of white smoke. Over the interphone, the ball turret gunner reports he's hit. His voice is steady, but you can hear the pain underneath it, and there's nothing you can do from back here. The attacks come in waves for what feels like hours, but is probably 20 minutes, each pass leaving new holes in the aircraft and new prayers on your lips. Then, like a miracle, a swarm of silver P-51 Mustangs comes screaming in from above, and the German fighters scatter like startled birds. For the first time in hours, the sky behind you is empty, and the relief is so overwhelming that your vision blurs, and you realize you're crying inside your oxygen mask. The long flight home across the channel feels like a resurrection. The English coast appears through the haze and someone on the interphone whispers, "There she is." The landing is rough, the hydraulics are shot, the tail wheel is shredded, and the B-17 groans down the runway like a wounded animal finally allowed to rest. You uncurl from the tail position on legs that have been numb for 6 hours, and crawling through the fuselage, you see daylight shining through holes that weren't there this morning. Your boots hit English grass and your knees buckle, and you kneel there on the ground with your hands in the mud, breathing air that doesn't taste like rubber and fear. At the debriefing, they hand you a shot of whiskey and ask you to describe what you saw, and you realize there aren't words for any of it. You count the empty chairs in the mess hall at dinner. 3 crews didn't come back today, 30 men who ate those same eggs this morning. In your bunk that night, you stare at the curved ceiling and do the math. You need 25 missions to go home, and today was only number 7. 18 more times, you will climb into that tiny metal coffin at the tail of the aircraft, and the sky will try to kill you, and you will try to come home. But tonight you are alive, and the rain on the Nissen hut sounds like applause, and you close your eyes and let it carry you somewhere the war cannot follow.